Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen, episode number 563, coming to you live from somewhere, nowhere, Idaho Springs, Colorado. It is after ETH Denver, and man, it was a great time all the way around, and man, now just having to catch up on work and everything like that. But the thing that really sucks, helping someone out today. I look a little disheveled because I'm a little distraught. Was helping out, trying to help someone out, and don't even know who the person was. I don't remember his name. But he had been at ETH Denver. They were like doing a regen project. They're from Germany. They seemed really cool. And he'd asked for a notepad and paper, and I was like, yeah, and I reached across and I knocked over my C4 onto my laptop. I have an emergency meeting with Micro Center tomorrow to see if they can save the laptop, but that will be a really interesting thing. So I don't know. We will see if that is what is able to happen, but just want to give a quick shout out to everyone that's joining us on LinkedIn, 0x Degens YouTube, Player One Taco YouTube, Twitch, Discord, Telegram, Unlonely, and Rumble and Kick. And those are on Twitter and Twitter Spaces and Twitter Video. Not a lot to cover today. We were supposed to do the swag report today. Unfortunately, because our laptop is, sitting in front of a fan right now, hopefully drying all the sugars off of it. Hopefully that will. We have an interesting request up. We haven't seen This Is a Good Sign for a minute, so we'll let him up for a second, and then we will see what they have to say. But there's a lot going on in AI right now that we got our finger in, and so it's really going to be interesting to see how we're able to pull manifest together. We have 150 projects signed up so far. The goal to getting to 1,000 AI projects sort of under one umbrella is going to be an amazing journey. We will be in London in next week, and yeah, let's see. Let's add This Is a Good Sign as a speaker. I think you should be able to speak now. This is a good sign. Let me try again. Request added. Added. Invite to speak. Maybe that'll work. But so we are in Denver one last day. We leave tomorrow. We stop at Micro Center. Then we head to New York, and and then we pack up. We head to London. We'll be in London for a little bit. We'll be there for ETH London. Some cool hackathons there. We're going to be going over to, oh my gosh, what is his name again? Oh my gosh, he was the Ewan Blair. Ewan Blair's project used to be known as White Hat. Now it is known as Metaverse or Metaphysical. And talking with him, and some of the AI projects that he has going on under education, which is really cool. There's some really cool stuff going on there about really creating educational platforms for students that grow with them rather than teaching them, and repeating the same things that they hear over and over again, but expanding with them. I honestly think that that's a really cool use of AI. There's so many amazing things being done right now, and on the education and on the coding side, so it's really exciting. Then we have London Blockchain Week, and then after that we head over to Dubai for the Solana Hacker House, ETH Dubai, and Art DAO Fest. So, or I think it's just Art Fest hosted by Art DAO. One of the two. It's crazy thatimes. Then we should be coming back stateside, and then heading over to back down to Austin for Consensus, hosted by CoinDesk. So some fun things are on the horizon. Some great new contacts made during ETH Denver. You know, the entire Morpheus crew, huge shout out to them. You know, closed out their deal of 15 mil in 5 days. Super proud of that team. We have CPU Coin finishing up their $5 million raise to get them out. So, and then got to hang out with some of the really good peeps over at Burn It DAO. Really excited to see what they're doing. That's just fun. That's my degen. That's my degen thing. But then also, last but not least, Secret Fight Club. Think of AI DAOs. So DAOs that are training AI modals how to fight. So depending on what DAO you're in, you'll vote to train your AI in different formats of fighting styles, and then your AIs will fight. Then you'll also vote on what type of armor and battle, all of this really cool stuff. But Secret Fight Club is coming together with some really awesome things. Super excited for it. And whew, let's see, Truck Swap Coin is coming up. That is infrastructure-based invoicing for trucking companies here in the US. They have roughly 300 truck companies already signed up, trucking companies, because what the big issue there that blockchain solves is invoicing takes 30 to 90 days to pay. But truckers need to get paid right then and there or they're coming out of pocket. So Truck Swap settles that instantly and then takes a couple points off of waiting that 30 to 90 days. So that's one of the really cool uses of blockchain there. And, you know, part of me wanted to go talk with the CEO of Harmony and catch up with him. But I'm just so disappointed on what Harmony has been doing the last couple months. Well, shoot, let me say like the last year and a half. Let's just be honest. Harmony had a really good chance with their DAO features, but they blew that out of the fucking water, and they've just fired everyone that gave any shit. Excuse my language, but I really hate it when you're trying to make a blockchain under the assumption of doing good, and then as soon as something bad happens, aka you have bad devs and you get hacked, you're like bottom dollar now and F everyone else, and your blockchain is a ghost chain. You wonder why no one wants to build on it is because you don't invite anyone to build on it, and you just expect that you made something good. Actually, it's a horrible blockchain. Oh my God, the settlement time? Fuck. You know, there's bad blockchains out there. We're not going to name too many of them. Phantasma. I mean, well, no, Phantasma is actually a good one. Phantasma is okay. Yeah. There's a lot of blockchains we can make fun of tonight. We're not going to. We don't really do that too often. We just say, hey, different chains for different things. But sort of just as a great way to sort of look at things, don't waste your energy is our motto tonight. So don't waste your energy on bad vibes. You know, a lot of builders or people that say they're builders usually are just people that hire builders because they don't know how to build themselves. They just know how to tear things down, and they attract the drama crowd, the people that like to pull up and sit and eat popcorn and watch it. And they're like, we'll try to make something out of this. You know, let's see what kind of Ponzi comes out of this. Like, I am not against people making their money, but there's a thousand amazing ways to do that are not feeding that fire. So I think tonight we're going to end the night rather quickly. Want to shout out to some of the people that are joining on YouTube. We see you. Hello. I apologize. Like I said, I'm not on my computer doing all of this. I'm on my phone. I'm actually on 2 phones right now. Boop. Twitter Space and video. You know, so I'm not able to check and see any comments, but I will get to them if there are any later. So if you have any questions, please let me know. But ETH Denver was an amazing event. Huge shout out to the entire team putting that on. And what was really hilarious is a lot of the comments on the side of like, you should hold ETH Denver, not in Denver. Well, they do. There's other companies that other projects, other organizers that have put on events, and none of them have turnouts like ETH Denver. ETH Denver has the turnout that it does because of the people that show up. So huge shout out to the people that show up. Most of the people that show up to ETH Denver are the people that show up every day and don't talk about it. You know, and I do talk about it. I have to talk about it. This is sort of what I do. I don't know why I chose to do this, but this is sort of the hat I fell into, and I enjoy it. But I really enjoy getting to talk with a lot of the builders. One of the cool things we saw was how big of a political stance was in crypto at ETH Denver this year. With several different politicians showing up. And that just goes to show how serious of an issue it is starting to become, because before no one took it as a serious issue. They thought we're a bunch of nuts, and they actually now sort of see the financial impact that we have, the voice that we have. So huge shout out to, and I'm not taking any political stance here, but for the politicians that did show up, hats off. I know I had sent a personalized invitation to the great and wonderful, and I'm not kidding, to Elizabeth Warren, because she says that no one will debate her about blockchain. And so, I was like, hey, there's going to be 25,000 people that would love to have a conversation with you. And maybe 20,000 of them will actually be legitimate conversations. Not to say the other 5,000 won't be, but sometimes some people just get so much on their pedestal that you're just like, yeah, okay, they're not doing anyone any favors by doing what you're doing. Thank you for your support. Have a button, and we'll see you later. But at the same time, they're like, I got to meet these two women from Canada, and this is their sort of their first foray into a Web3 conference, but they've been slowly doing a lot of different coding camps online and stuff like that, and hackathons online, learning Solidity, learning different smart contract languages, and their reasons for being in Web3, they should just be like our mascots for like the week, but I don't know. It's going to be an exciting year. I'm super pumped, and well, I'm depressed right now because of my laptop. Let's just say that I'm down in the dumps. And yeah, that is where I'm at right now. So we are going to end tonight. Want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, and we will see you tomorrow. Don't worry, the swag report will happen when I might have to carry. I'm gonna do it in New York when I get. So it might be a few days off, and I apologize for that. But before we end, it looks like we have a guest. GM.
Oh, dang, I thought you were closing down. Twitter has an amazing way of like buffering about like 15 seconds out. So you're like, oh, we're talking about the swag update. And then you're like, GM. Hold on. I think I missed something here.
Yeah, no, it is weird. And it's really weird when you get knocked down as a speaker or something like that, or after you step down as a speaker and then you listen to yourself for like 15 seconds and you're like, wow, I sound like that.
It's like real life TV. This is like real life TV.
Yeah.
So what we really are saying is that there is a bot buffering on the back end to cut you off at any 15 seconds. No, that's just my conspiracy theory.
Oh, no, it's 100% true.
It's like they're playing TV gods and we don't even know that's happening.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you were talking about the politicians. I just want to step in because I was at East Denver and I thought that was hilarious. Like seeing all of them come in because I've seen this before in years past. And I don't know if you were there to see Kennedy Jr. speak, but in years past that I've seen politicians come in, they have these talking lines. And like they can talk amongst themselves, but like once the crowd asks questions, they like start contradicting everything they say and unintentionally start actually saying like anti blockchain and every like going against everything they were taught to speak. So I was curious if you had that experience or if you heard them speak. I heard that was the case again. But yeah, I wanted to your intel.
So I did not get to hear. I did not get to see RFK's speech live, or John Deaton's, but I did watch them. I did see. I've seen RFK speak a few times. He's been to I would say like maybe like 3 different conferences now. He's been to Bitcoin Miami. He was at North American blockchain or Bitcoin conference or blockchain conference down in Fort Worth, and then East Denver. I think he's made it to several other blockchain events, but I'm not. I don't want to co-sign that. And so he sort of talks. He only talks really about Bitcoin. I think that's all he has the grounds to sort of, not grounds, but like the knowledge to speak on, like he was like, look, I got to learn 40,000 things to be president. And I can surmise blockchain roughly with Bitcoin and so if I just say I'm pro Bitcoin and be pro Bitcoin, then, that sort of follows suit with everything else a little bit. I'm not a huge RFK fan, just because I'm on like universal income. I think that our society isn't there yet. It's a great idea, but I don't think economically we are there. And I think the idea is great. The purpose of it is great. But the reality of it isn't here yet. I think blockchain brings us a lot closer to something like that. And there's a lot of cool projects that are trying to do stuff like that. And that's a really long, deep tangent there. The other
not a tangent. No, not a tangent at all.
And then the other one, John Deaton. I know John. So it's. I personally think it was a smart thing for him to go. I didn't get to hear all of his speech, but because I've sort of heard, I know what his platform is a little bit. Well, I know half of his platform. So it's I'm down for him running against Elizabeth Warren, and maybe that's biased.
God. Anything but her. Anyone but her.
Oh yeah, and like she had the election in the bag with 72% of the populace vote, and there's going to be a point where, if she loses, someone's going to realize, wow, if we had just left crypto alone, we would have been fine.
Yeah, there was actually somebody that told me that like all crypto combined is like 1% of like, I can't remember what they said. It's like 1% of like Web2 transactions. Like it's not even like that. Like the magnitude that like we think it is. But this could be very wrong though. Very wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's pretty wild. Yeah, it's, again, I've watched these politicians step on stage, and normally what they do is like, I'm curious. I should probably go back and look at like, figure out like if I can take a live stream. But like, normally they filter out the questions that the person doesn't know.
Yeah.
And I mean, come on, let's talk about Bitcoin, right? It's literally a general ledger, and it's a currency.
Yeah.
It's the same concept of your Wells Fargo app and Chase app. Like, there's,
John Deaton is heavy in XRP. So you might, if you remember the XRP Ripple case, he's the person that filed the amicus brief on behalf of XRP holders, not on behalf of Ripple. But he's the one that filed on behalf of the consumers and the people that were, anyone that owned or bought XRP on a secondary market. And he did a really good job, and a lot of his stuff was used in the Ripple case to find in Ripple's favor. Torres, it's not all over yet, but a win was definitely brought on by a large part by him, I would say. Not saying anything against the Ripple attorneys. They did a great job as well. But a lot of the judge made it really personal, like brought it down to the person level, where the SEC was trying to make it institutional sounding. And he was able to humanize it to where it was like, yeah, this is used by people as a currency. This isn't a security. This is a currency, and so,
interesting.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah. He has a book out. Yeah, but he's a good speaker. So
yeah. So another thing that Kennedy touched on in his pamphlet. I feel like the people when I went to the desk. I mean, of course I'm going to get the hat. Why would I not get the hat? I picked up the hat. Did you pick up the hat?
I did not pick up the hat. I think okay. Do you want the secret sauce that there's a lot of? You want the secret sauce that a lot of people?
It's literally a Kennedy hat and a Web3 experience. That is like.
I got the button.
That maybe
I got the button.
Commodity.
I got the hold. The hold button. The hold the button. So. All right. So you want the secret sauce?
Yeah.
I got to Denver on the 22nd for the Build-a-thon. And on Friday, day one of the main event, I flew out of Denver and went to a wedding. And then early Sunday morning for the last day of East Denver, I flew back. So I missed day 1 and 2 of the main event. But I was there for the hackathon and the Build-a-thon and everything like that and all the side events because I was a speaker at an event. But so I missed. That's why I didn't get to see him live. So that's why I didn't get a hat. If I had been there, I would have had a hat.
Dang, I should have grabbed an extra, but I was like, I didn't even think about that. I could have. I cheesed them up for so long. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, will there ever be a next time? Probably. Probably a consensus. Consensus with a U, not a Y.
Yes.
In Austin. He'll probably be there. No joke. But I think that's something that needs to be addressed that he kind of elaborated to in his little shill of if you look at the pamphlet, it's 6 bullet points, right?
Yeah.
I think we need to protect our devs.
Oh, yeah.
I think right now, it is a very dangerous play, to even be a creative developer in our space. I mean, the fact that I'm not going to say Tornado Cash wasn't doing something that the U.S. government doesn't like, but I am saying that the fact that somebody builds something, and this is continuous throughout U.S. history, they keep doing this. As long as you build something and people use it, you are then held liable for whatever the users do behind that maybe you can't even see, you don't even know, you didn't even encourage. But the fact, you can't control what people want to build, but the fact that they are just taking down devs on a global scale, they're extraditing developers out of spaces. That is so fucking wrong to me. Sorry, pardon my French, but that's so wrong. And we can't keep building if devs are scared to build.
Yep.
And it's not going to be open source, especially if they're scared to build. And I was curious because he kind of elaborated to we need to build in this space. And I was like, so you're going to you're going to protect our developers globally, not just in the US, but like globally. That like they can come up with ideas, they can come up with white papers, they can launch things and not be held like in this like, you know, terrible pool of bad actors because they build something and somebody used it wrong. I think that's a massive problem that needs to be addressed. But like they're not going to do that. But I'm just saying, if a politician touched on that, they'd win us. They'd win everybody.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't. It doesn't really matter where you lean politically, you know. But because it sounds like you have an open mind to listen to all sorts of things, you know, whether you find value in them, it doesn't matter. That is for you, and that's. But we're all able to live how we want. But I would recommend going and looking at, he had a very good writer for it. Vivek Ramaswamy's 3 points for crypto, for his crypto regulation that he specifically talked on developers and on coders. He did a really good job on that piece. So when you said that, like, I was like, oh, like someone already approached that from like a political point. Now, what the rest of it says, I don't know, but I did read about the developer piece. Actually, I read the whole thing a few times, but you might like it.
Yeah, but he stepped down.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be somebody's VP and do that. But I just think that like, unless it's a smart contract, I really don't trust you anyways. You can give me a little pamphlet with bullet points on it, but unless you sign it on a smart contract, I don't really trust you.
We should inscribe it.
Oh, isn't that wild?
Yeah. No, but no, definitely. So
you're still in East Denver.
I'm in Idaho Springs.
Nice.
Yes.
So, like, I have a question. So, about all these politicians, like, what are your thoughts? Like, how do you? I mean, yes, they're coming in. Like, my question is, like, from a human standpoint, I've given you my, like, if they would say this, they'd be successful. Like, from your standpoint, how do you see someone from any political level? It does not matter. I'm a libertarian, right? Like, I don't care. Just don't touch my guns, my money, my rights, and I don't care. But like, from your standpoint, like, what do you see as, like, being the most successful person in this space? Like, what are those attributes that are going to sway Web3 to vote for them?
So I think this is going to be one of the really interesting thing, that blockchain might become a one vote issue. Like, for some people, they might vote for the politician that aligns with them, based on blockchain. And I'll be honest, I think that's a dumb idea. You know, we should never do a one idea. Well, maybe, depends on the case, but I think that some politicians will say whatever the heck they need to get into office, and then, you know, when it comes time when they do get in office, they don't do a lot. Obviously, the Biden administration, and the DNC has taken a very anti-crypto stance, and you know, the Republican Party has taken the opposite. So it, you know, I personally, you know, will most likely vote Republican, depending on local elections, but just because we're seeing a lot of politicians starting to come forward, that have a use case for blockchain. Some on the left, some on the right. Case in point, Will Schweitzer out of New York. He was a Democrat running for Senator Gillibrand's seat. He's not going to win. He knows it, but it will get his name out there, and his stance is putting political donations on chain, tracking them that way. You know, just not even.
think the government is going to tell us where the money comes from?
Oh, no. He knows that because he's in those circles. But like that was that was the stance that he was taking because he was like, my company can do this. We're a ledger company. We're an accounting company on blockchain. We can do that. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how they play to the blockchain community. One of the things that we're really seeing, and the other is how information data is stored and transferred, and AI is going to be as much of a buzzword as that is. Really, what it is the access to right information, and we're starting to see the limitations being put on that, stamped down on that, and so yeah, it's.
I definitely understand you on that point. I personally know for a fact, and don't we all? This is actually Web 2.5. We call it Web 3.0, but it's literally not. Until we decentralize storage and databases, and those databases and such and information cannot be manipulated, we are not at that layer of technology. For example, Infura uses AWS.
Yep.
So, but MetaMask uses Infura as their infrastructure. And so AWS, since you've ever used MetaMask, has been tracking your IP addresses for years since the beginning.
And now MetaMask locks in the RPC for Ethereum.
Yeah, and everything is KYC.
Yeah.
It goes against the ethos of everything we've ever built. But again, we have to take down each layer. Oh goodness, if you want to talk about Filecoin, right?
Yep.
One of the co-founders of Filecoin is out of the U.S. government. Literally worked for the DoD. If you look her up, she's there. And I remember asking her in person in Miami. I was like, so let's talk about regulation. When it comes to regulation, if these things come across the table, do you have the ability to manipulate how your quote unquote blockchain technology works in order to adhere to regulation and cut down these customers and all these things? Because if you were truly decentralized, you would never have that access. You wouldn't even know what you held in your hands at any degree. And she spoke around it, and I was like, oof.
Yep.
Don't speak around a subject like that. And in my head, I was like, yep, that just solidified that Filecoin is. I should have known. I already knew that because she comes out of government. You don't just go full on gov and then turn over to infrastructure and blockchain a year later and be like, I'm totally a degen. No.
That's
No. So that was very interesting to me. So I'm always interested to see the infrastructure side of projects now. I look at all of them. There's Ethereum infrastructure product that actually just came out that I saw. Eat them for I look at all of them and see who owns them.
Which one are you talking about?
It was literally called the Ethereum infrastructure.
Oh, okay.
Straight up. Yeah, and he was not from America. The opposing side of U.S. I don't know. I'm not a judge, but I am going to say I was kind of sus, and I was like, let me look into this. I appreciate that, but I look into right now. My big push is looking to find a truly decentralized infrastructure product and products or cloud products. It's just it's so rare that there's no incentivization behind and motive, and that's not tied to these projects that could potentially ruin you, right, as you build your dApp and that be your layer.
Look so I will be. One thing about devs is they're great at building, but they're not real devs. They're great at building, but they're not really good at telling people about what they built. And
100%.
I would, and it's not a judging factor at all. I come from that world, and I changed gears. But I would look at Manifest. Literally already has 15 data centers around the world, like real data centers that for decentralized AWS, slowly building it out bigger and bigger. CPU coin. Are they owned by Microsoft? No, Manifest. How do you spell that? Sorry. Manifest. MANIFEST. You will not find a lot on it because they're not good at talking about it, and that's why they brought me on to do that. So yeah. So it's connected to your Twitter, so tweet about it in 5 seconds. And then CPU coin is another one. That one is more of a smaller mining operation / compute power, distributed compute power, with already 185,000. Now, I'm not going to say active participants in the network, but like total people signed up to be providing distributed compute power, edge networking, and so there's some cool stuff there. And there's I appreciate this list. There's a good list. There's a handful more coming out, and yeah. So, oh man, we are just all over the place tonight. Trying to find a good place to sit. Outside, it is too cold to stay outside, so we had to find a place in the lodge to be quiet and still talk. So yeah, but there's a let's see what other projects are coming online. Morpheus is another one. They're following the lines of autonomous, but like atomic autonomous. Like different substructures are given tasks, and then those substructures design how to do those tasks. So, if a list of projects are handed out, then those projects sort of help build those projects out. The structure is being built out. The idea is for there not to be that much structure in that build out, but it's really interesting. How do you build something if you don't know who's supposed to build what when? So there can be some chaos, but in beauty there is chaos, or in chaos there is beauty. Let's go with both. Both sound good. Yeah. So and when we pull the different aspects within like coding and AI into it, it will be very interesting, So, but the big purpose of like Morpheus and Manifest is to keep AI, like decentralize AI and keep it decentralized, So we don't have, as one of my other founders like to say, a singleton event. A singleton event is where an AI is given a task, and the theory goes to build a better paperclip, and eventually it will come to the conclusion of the enslavement and destruction of humanity. That is the singleton event, to be able to control production and make a better paperclip.
Have you ever heard of the dead internet theory?
Possibly, but not called that. Tell me.
So I'm just gonna say I feel like it's not a theory. Number one, I think it's a fact, and I think that it definitely holds us behind in Web3, because if you were to Google testing frameworks, dev tooling in Web3. Mm-hmm. Like Google is basically, the theory is that Google is so botted up that like it only knows how to propose things to you, but like at a botting system. So like Google has no capability of like moving backwards. Like they can't unbot the system because there's so much machine learning that is like automating on every single scale that like even if we ask it a simple thing, which is why like ChatGPT is like until 2021, right? Like, because it has no capacity to break down dev tooling for Web3 at all. Like, I mean, I've asked Google, I've asked ChatGPT, like, it gives you what is paid to go forward, which is nothing ever relevant. Maybe if you're lucky, it pulls up Infura. But, like, there's no contrasting tools that it ever offers to you. But again, the theory is that, like, the internet is running itself and there's no way to unbot it to get to actually, okay, you know what, I'm just going to read the definition for you. I think that's the best way to go about this.
Yeah, is while you pull it up, it falls under the thought of what I thought you were talking about, of how I think it's clocked at like 67% of all internet traffic is indexers indexing things, including indexing the indexed already.
Yeah, so it's like botting its own bots.
Yep.
Like continuously, like in this like this tornado. So yeah, the dead internet theory is an online conspiracy theory. It's just not a conspiracy. It's like literally like it makes sense. That asserts that the internet now consists mainly of bot activity and automatically generated content that is manipulated by algorithmic curation, marginalizing organic human activity, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think if you want a definition, that's what Wikipedia says.
Yeah.
That's what I was reading just now. So yeah, it's just like bots on top of bots, and that like we can't ever get to the right context. And the only way to get outside of this is to create an entire separate system that does data scrape, but not from botted or machine learning or AI related things. So it only just strictly pulls over like singular data that is not manipulated by anything.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, one of the other things that can also like that Google curates based off of history and other things it's shown you. So if you want a fresh curated look, private tab, or an unsigned into Google account that you haven't searched for anything on before.
I just don't use Google.
Yeah.
Just anything but.
I go between Brave and Google, depending on what I'm doing each day.
Yeah, I use DuckDuckGo on a Brave browser in Tor, or like I like loop all this stuff through and through. Yeah. But even at that, I mean, you're only doing your best. They pull information exactly from like original sources, so
Yep.
It's a fun thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff building out to index real information, especially on the dev tooling. There is, oh my gosh, aphid.ai, which is basically all of like the AI tools out there, and like dev toolings for around AI as well. So, and I know one of the projects that's now part of Manifest is Soulflare, right? Is it Soulflare or Sunfire? I'm going to call it Sunfire. I'm going to say Sunfire. That sounds close. That sounds right. That is AI auditing, but one of the specific things that sets it a little bit different in it is that it also works on different, continuously will penetration test it as it learns new things, to try to break the contract, and at its current abilities of able to break it and try new attack methods, it actually will give it a risk vector for insurance. So like to insure smart contracts. So yeah.
Interesting. I think I'm not going to show my white paper because somebody might steal and build it and not tell me they did it. But I am going to say that there should be a Google for Web3. But there are efforts.
There are.
Of consolidated efforts. However, it's not a search engine. It is exactly what is in the phase of, I would say, .com. So, like, they don't include white papers. They don't include, like, efforts that aren't, like, entities, like company entities. So, for example, something that someone sent to me and they were like, oh, they've already done it. It's called this. And I was like, oh, okay, but it's like, what am I getting at? So it's called Golden, which is like, how do you Google that? Even if you Google it, it's going to pull up the color. It's not even going to pull up, like, try a million times. I've asked everybody to do it. And every single time I'm like, it never pulls up what I'm saying. But it's Golden. And it is a if you type in Golden and Web3, and then it maybe will pull it up. But it's basically an ongoing list of companies in our space, specifically Web3, that are solidified. They have had funding rounds. It lists the funding round. It lists the founders. It lists like all this information. So you can actually break, and I think it's by the graph or BigQuery that they've consolidated this info. And you can actually do advanced search through that. But again, there's no like, if you don't know what you're looking for, it's not helpful because you genuinely have to do like a full-on advanced search for like whatever it is, and maybe it pulls up the right stuff and maybe it doesn't. But it's all like Web3 related to any degree. So they have like Sony on there. It's like, that's not Web3. But like there's some effort in there if you can bring down like the advanced search long enough that you're like, oh, okay, this within Sony at like 50 degrees, like a million questions afterwards. So
well, you could say, well, Sony has its own blockchain now.
Is it blockchain?
They made a fork of a star network. So
is it a cross chain or a side chain?
It's so a star is one of the parathreads within the Polkadot ecosystem, and so they made a fork because initially they're going to be using it for like all of their videos and stuff on blockchain, and then they'll be using it, adapting it to their cameras, so that there will be a block stamp for new photos taken, so proof of realism and stuff like that, proof of reality photo. Like, I don't remember the right term for that off the top of my head, but a signature, basically, for cryptographic proof that it's a real picture rather than a fake of any kind.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say that's the only searchable.
Okay.
Like, don't go to Google.
So like the original Metacrawler, when Metacrawler first came out, you couldn't, unless you did like super strings of text pluses, advanced.
That's what this is. But they put it into boxes now that are categorized in ways that you may, like if you're Web 2, you're not going to know how to bring that shit down. Like you actually have to like know what you're looking for in order to isolate into the like categorization of what you want. Just, again, but that's only for the things that are created. That doesn't break down like existing projects, hackathon ideas, white papers, like none of that. It's like things that currently exist that are put into like, yes, this is a payroll company kind of situation. Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe that's some alpha. Maybe it's useful, maybe it's not. But I appreciate you chatting on here. I've just, oh my God, I just couldn't take any more of like being on Twitter Spaces and hearing people like debate that ETFs are better value than like actual BTC. I was like, I need to hear somebody talking about normal stuff, and I found you. So here we are.
Yay! What's hilarious is, so I spoke at the RS33 conference, open information house. The day before ETH Denver Main started, and because they consider me the degen of degens, they asked me to speak on what the topic was, DeFi after the BTC ETF, and what my thoughts were, and what the communities I hang out around, or people I hear their view on the BTC ETF, and I'm like, look, mom and dad it's losing the stigma, which is a positive thing for institutional money to come in. But what really is, what I really hope for is, out of 100 people or even 1,000 people that get into the ETF, they realize, wait, I can actually own this and have direct exposure. Maybe I'll get into it that way. So, yeah, my take.
I appreciate that. It's like Robinhood. You remember when like Robinhood was like, yeah, you can buy like Doge and Ethereum and Bitcoin from us, but in reality, you didn't own any of it, and you were basically paying triple gas fees for them in order to purchase for them, like all these currencies that they only own. Like, it was just the wildest thing, and like it's like the second iteration of Robinhood. It's like, didn't you guys like hear about the first time this happened? Like, but if the government, but again, if they can do it legally and shake hands with people, then let's call it an ETF. Robinhood didn't do that. Like, this is government accepted, so they can get a lot of things out of this, but still own, quote unquote, these values behind these currencies. I don't know. It's very interesting. I apologize. I don't know what your platform is or who your target audience is, but
this is literally called your Daily Bite of Degen. So it covers all things Web3, and when we run out of things in Web3, we go play Web3 games.
What is Web3 gaming? A game that has like a Web2 app that's like got like currency on the back end of it that like you have to pay through Bitcoin in order to play. Like, no, I'm just joking.
Exactly. You were 100% on top of it.
Not even a dApp, because it doesn't even use like dev tooling from the space in order to like build layers of encryption.
Some do. Some do. So, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to hate on them because they might want to hire me later, but I am skeptical.
Be skeptical. I think Web3 gaming will be like, we have GDC coming up. Web3 gaming is going to be huge this year in it. What I think the big push is ownership of assets. Rather than you buying something and then the season of that game ends and you no longer own it, even though you spent the money on it or you put in the time for it. Now you no longer have it, or you get tired of playing and you can't sell everything you bought or earned to someone else. I think ownership is one of those big things that Web3 gaming is real. Gaming industry and Web3 gaming are really going to push. So,
unfortunately, I'm going to push back on you, and I'm going to say, if you wanted that, you would have purchased the disc for gaming, the VHS. You would have reverted back to old tech if you didn't want something to disappear. Because imagine if Voodoo disappears, there goes my entire collection of movies. And I have, if a person can't upkeep things in the dev community, then it's gone. But when we had VHSs or DVDs, some games, it was secured, it was locked in. It's like, we could play this game. You know what I mean? It's definitely a fight between oh, can things actually be upheld? Or, are they going to fall through the cracks? I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. Yeah, no. So, as we wind up the night, Web3 Liz, thank you so much for joining us. Since this is how we end every episode of TacoBytes, those that are on stage get the final words almost of final thoughts and words of wisdom. What are your final thoughts and words of wisdom?
I would say read Proof of Stake. And if you want to know who Satoshi is, look into FC99 conference.
There you go. You hear it. This will be a conversation for another night on who is Satoshi, because I love talking about that with people. But as we end, I always end with my same words of wisdom and final thoughts, which are: closed mouth cannot be fed. You cannot feed a closed mouth, meaning if no one knows you're looking for opportunity can never come a knocking. If opportunity does come a knocking and no one answers, it's going to keep on walking. I want to shout out to everyone on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, Kick, Unlonely, Telegram, and LivePeer for joining us tonight. Liz, thank you so much for joining us up on stage and coming and talk and having a great night. Now we get to end with the greatest worst joke on the face of the planet. Liz, are you able to help with this?
I'm ready for it.
All right. So this is how we have ended 562 episodes of TacoBytes, your Daily Bite of Degen. We will see you all tomorrow. But knock, knock.
Who's there?